Next inning, Kyle Schwarber, an 11-pitch at-bat, folks. 11-pitch at-bat. He hit a 407-foot home run, and that was his 12th of the season. The Cubs tied the game with that shot. And then Victor Caratini, like I said just about 5 minutes ago, he came up huge for the Cubs in this one with a bases-clearing double. A lot of seconds, or not seconds, but a lot of things happened multiple times this week for the Cubs. Specifically, Javier Baez hitting 3 homers, 2 bases clearing doubles for Caratini and Bodie, and then the one I said before about Hendricks and Cole Hamels with 10 strikeouts in the last week, twice. But a lot of good things happened twice for the Cubs. A little bit of deja vu, it feels like, in a way, as I look at these stats. But Kyle Schwarber's 7th double of the year was an RBI double, made it 8-4, and then Addy put a little cherry on the top with a sac fly to make it 9-4 in the 7th. And Lester really settled in after the first inning. He then went 5 innings, and total of 5 hits. I'm not sure how many he had in that first inning there, but no earned runs after that first inning, and then had 6 strikeouts total. So a good outing from him. And then also specifically the bullpen was just dominant yesterday. Kyle Ryan, Brandon Kinsler, and Tyler Chatwood, 1, 2, 3, all combined for 3 innings. They all had 1, 2, 3 innings. There was no walks, no hits. Kyle Ryan had 2 strikeouts, Kinsler 1, and Chatwood 3 to close it. Chatwood down with a 3.34 ERA this year, along with Kinsler's magnificent 2.57. Very impressive outings yesterday from those guys after, what felt like was going to be a bloodbath of runs with a score of 4-2 after 1 inning. All of a sudden, you sit there at the end of the game, and the Cardinals finished with 4 runs and 5 hits total. But then let's shift over to tonight, and the Cubs currently still lead. Let's see here. They still lead 3-1. And Anthony Rizzo got them on the board in the first inning with an RBI ground out to score Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber has been great in the leadoff spot this week, man. Just absolutely awesome. But Colton Wong tied it up in the second with an RBI double. David Bodie with an RBI single in the 5th led to Kyle Schwarber's RBI double in the 5th. That's the one I mentioned earlier, like at the very beginning when I said Kyle Schwarber has continued it tonight. He had an RBI double in the 5th to make it 3-1. And as for the pitching so far for the Cubs, Kyle Hendricks. I mean, it's the name of the game with this guy, the absolute professor. 7 innings pitched, 1 earned run. He's bounced around 8 hits allowed and only 3 strikeouts after what we saw with 10 last outing against the Rockies, showing that he can get outs different ways and trusting his defense out there. The Cubs do have an error, and they do only have 7 hits compared to the Cardinals' 8, but we lead 3-1. As Kyle's getting it done, he hasn't allowed any homers and has a season ERA down to 3 on the year. And when I look at Kyle Hendricks, he's at a 98 pitch count right now. So it's the bottom of the 7th. The Cubs have a runner on first after Albert Almora reached on a fielding error by Matt Carpenter. David Bodie's up, and most likely Kyle Hendricks is out of this one. Oh, he's out of it. Almora pinch hit for him. But look for the Cubs to hopefully have another 1, 2, 3 last couple of innings for their bullpen like we saw yesterday. Hopefully that can happen again, and if we do, we're back to 10 games over 500, folks. And that'll be a 3-game win streak and 6 of our last 7 of the week. We'd go 6-1 on the week. That's including that Angels W last Monday. So very impressive for the Cubs. And I look at the standings. Not sure if the Brewers won today. I should really know that. They actually did win today. The Brewers really hitting a streak. They're on a 4-game win streak, 7-3 in their last 10. But season-long numbers, the Cubs have a run differential plus 62 compared to the Brewers of plus 12 only. And, we have a better home record as well. So I like that. And if we can win tonight, we can just stay tied right with them, as they're also 10 games over 500, whereas we'll be 37-27. They are 38-28. And now let's bounce Why do I keep saying bounce? Let's dive into the Milwaukee Brewers next week of games. And let's see here. It's kind of hard to talk because I have to hold the phone up. Sorry, not their next week of games, their past week of games, I should say. All right, let's see here. All right, so this series was crazy. The Miami Marlins came into Miller Park and absolutely killed them on Tuesday with a 16-0 victory. I saw so many memes about this, and so much stuff went on about this game. Just so much stuff on Twitter and Instagram. And shout out to the Marlins Wave on Instagram. He's a great guy, and I always DM him about the Marlins in 2027 because that's the year I think they're going to win it all. I just kind of made it up, but it's a funny thing we joke about. And we were going back and forth on Instagram via our stories about this game, just laughing. And then they dropped the next game by a score of 8-3. The Brewers did avoid the sweep as they won 5-1 in the finale, but that was disappointing. However, that disappointing for the Brewers at least. However, they bounced back strong and very strong against a frisky Pirates team, and they bounced back with a lot of runs, 10 in the first game, and then 5 in the second and third games, but they only allowed 9 on the whole series against the Pirates, 20-9 scoring-wise when you compare the two teams. So they swept the Pirates, and they're on a 4-game win streak. However, they have a tough few games ahead of them. They have tomorrow off, but when we look at it, for the Cubs at least, they have to face the Astros, the Brewers do, on the road in Houston. And then I get that the Giants aren't good, but when you have to go to AT&T Park and you're not out west, usually, those first game or two, maybe even the first whole series when they're out there. By the way, they'll have another series after that against the Padres, obviously. But these next 8 games for the Brewers are going to be on the road. It's going to test them a lot, and I think that they have a little bit of regression coming via this Pirates sweep. I don't think they necessarily should have won all those games, but they were at home, and now we'll see how really good they are going 8 games on the road, even though the Giants and Padres aren't great. The Padres have actually been decent this year, and the Giants could definitely win a game or two there. But let's switch on to the St. Louis Cardinals. They swept us last week. We won't go into this weekend series, but we can look at their series right before us. And also I want to mention the Cubs just padded their lead to 4-1. I don't know exactly how we just scored, but when I looked up the Cardinals last week of games, it showed 4-1, but I'll go to that before we end the podcast. The Cardinals were able to split a 2-game series as the second game of the series was postponed against the Reds. They probably wish they could have won 2 or 3, or hopefully they probably wish to win 2 if it was only going to be a 2-game set. But they lost the first one 4-1. They won the third one, or the second one, I guess, 3-1. Now let's go into, and then they're most likely going to get swept tonight by the Cubs. And then let's go into the Pittsburgh Pirates last week of games. And like we said, this weekend they got swept by the Brewers. But when we look at the series before that, they won 2 or 3 against the Braves. A pretty impressive comeback, too, because they lost the first game on Tuesday at home by a score of 12-5. They won the second and third, though, by scores of 7-4 and 6-1. So the Pirates, with an okay week, however, the Brewers sweep really hurts them. They'll face the Braves in a 4-game set again. However, this one will be in Atlanta. And now let's go into the Cincinnati Reds before we wrap it up tonight on the Ivy. So the Cincinnati Reds, they won today by a score of 4-3 against the Phillies. They avoided the sweep, though, as the Phillies took the first 2 in this series. The Reds only scored 7 runs this series. However, the Phillies only scored 11. A low-scoring series, and then, like we said, they had this series split against the Cardinals. Now let's go into the MLB standings overall, and we'll tell you how the NL Central looks. If the Cubs are able to hang on tonight, they will be tied with the Milwaukee Brewers, as the Brewers are at 38-28. The Cubs should be at 37-27 by the end of the night. The Cardinals will be one game under 500 at 31-32, as they came into this one at 31-29. However, they got swept, and now they'll be back under 500. The Pirates are at 30-34 after a hot start, and the Cincinnati Reds are at 29-35. And I also want to make sure that I let you guys know how the Cubs scored that last one. They lead right now 4-1 in the eighth. In the eighth inning, and Steve Cishek is in. He just got the first out on Paul DeJong, and the run came in via a Kyle Schwarber RBI single. That is Schwarber's second RBI of the night. Like I said before, literally 5 to 10 minutes ago, Kyle Schwarber's been absolutely feeling it in that leadoff spot, and I feel like he has earned every right to stay right there where he is. But guys, that's going to do it, and that's going to wrap up our 23rd episode of the Ivy Podcast here on June 9th. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you guys next week with a brand new episode for the 24th episode on June 16th, as the Cubs will continue to look good and hopefully put a little streak together. But the specific time will be to be determined for that podcast and when it'll be out and available to you guys. And as always, go Cubs go, and I hope you guys have a relaxing rest of your Sunday night and have a great start to your week. Thanks, guys.